Aloha, shalom. I'm here to do the first quarter activation. So before I even grab the cards, I just wanted to say a little bit about what this activation is for those of you who are newly tuning into this. Okay, these activations have been going on for a few years now, and they happen every week. And you can tell when it's going to happen because we use the moon to measure time. So this activation doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the moon other than the fact that we use it as a measurement of time. So if you want to know when these activations are taking place, you can always look to the moon. They're always going to be on the new moon, the first quarter, which is today, the full moon, and the final quarter. So that's how you know when these are going to take place. And they always take place on the day of or the day before. You can also find me on YouTube. You just go to youtube.com/RebeccaMagic and hit subscribe, and that way you'll get notified when these videos get loaded there after the live. That way you don't miss out on any of the weekly activations. And it's okay if you're not seeing this live, because it's always going to be viewed at the perfect time in the perfect place whenever you are seeing this. So this is not your typical tarot reading, okay? No, a lot of people are, first-time viewers. They see these videos and they think, oh God, here she goes, some new agey, fluffy tarot reading, whatever. But I can assure you that it's not your typical reading. First of all, these readings every week happen for the collective consciousness. So they are as much for the individual as they are for the collective. We're all in this together. These readings are Kabbalistic, and what that means is it uncovers the underlying operative forces behind whatever it is we're experiencing. So we just get to the root of the situation that's unfolding for us. Any card in any moment can tell a story that relates to what we're going through. We can pick any card and make a connection to how it relates to our current reality. However, based on natural law, the card that is picked for a reason. When we flip the cards in response to a very specific question, we get the answer that is most relative to what we're asking. So while we can make connections with any of the cards, the one that's chosen is always the one that we're meant to focus on first. It's like the access point into the rest of the story. So that's just a little bit for those of you who are tuning in for the first time. So while I'm shuffling the cards, as y'all are tuning in, I'm just weaving you into the deck. Go ahead and tune into the expansive, infinite space of the heart. That's where we'll meet. We don't need to create a space for the answers to come in because everything already exists. So how can we just tune into a space that already exists? What's the biggest, most expansive space that exists? It's the infinite place of the heart space. So I'll meet you there. And you cannot be in that infinite expansiveness if you're so busy clinging to thoughts that have been circulating in your mind all day, all week, all month, maybe months. So whatever cyclical thoughts you've been repeating within your mind, go ahead and just pause it. Press pause. Set it aside just for this activation. And if at the end of this activation you feel like you're ready to welcome those thoughts right back in, then go ahead. But for right now, set them aside. Heavy feelings you've been carrying, set it aside. A sign that you're in that place of expansiveness, in that infinite space, truly sitting in that space of your heart, will be that those thoughts are quieted just for this moment. That's how you'll know you're in that place. When you feel open and receptive, that's how you know that you've successfully set aside whatever needs to be set aside to meet me in this place. And we can collectively ask right now that at least for this activation, the universe provides a gift for us. The gift of clearing whatever it is we've been carrying for so long that is blocking us from receiving the answers that we need, that's keeping us from receiving the wisdom that we need to progress. We're asking that for this activation, please, universe, clear us all of whatever is in the way. Just for this activation, because we know that we're doing this activation for the highest good of the one. That we're opening up to receive this information so that we can truly use it in a way that's going to help us progress as a collective consciousness. And so, universe, God, Great Spirit, Hashem, whoever you're speaking to, we want you to know that we're doing this for you, for us as one. And so because we're doing this for the highest good, we know that you will grant us this wish of clearing our pain and our blockages, at least for this activation, so that we can do your will. So for those of you who are a part of any special groups, your favorite groups, Light Worker, Indigo, Crystal, Rainbow Children, just spreading awareness groups, enlightenment, raising your vibration, any of these high vibe groups that you think will appreciate this message, go ahead and share it while it's live so that we can be as powerful as possible, to activate this portal as powerfully as possible, together as one. So go ahead and share it with whoever you feel will help us activate this message in a powerful way. And then when you're ready, just connect to the deck however you know how. Use your imagination. All is mind. So how can you use your mind power to uniquely connect with the deck? You could see yourself here with me right now. You can send a thread of golden light or rainbow light, whatever, from your third eye to the deck, from your heart to the deck. Whatever you want to do, be playful, be imaginative, and just be here now. Remember, these cards that represent these pieces of archetypal wisdom, these characters, they exist inside each one of us. They're personifications of certain patterns that exist within our very DNA. So when I say connect with this deck, I'm saying connect with those characters within you, those aspects of self, those angles of the universal mind, those angels of the universe that live inside of your own awareness. Connect with those, with them. And in that place, when you're connecting with these characters, we're connecting with each other. Because these characters exist at the foundation of all of life. They are the foundation of all of creation. So we meet in a powerful place when we connect to these same archetypal sources. All right, so this is the first quarter moon. That means last week we had our new moon activation. It was a new beginning. We just had the Mayan Galactic New Year. So just big, powerful energies of newness, freshness, fresh start, new beginning. And now 1 week after the new moon, we've sort of stepped into this new monthly cycle. We kind of are getting a feel for what the lesson is of the month. What is the current challenge and gift? We're kind of just beginning to understand what it is. So this first quarter activation basically helps us to see clearly exactly what's going on here, removing the extraneous thoughts that are maybe clouding the truth in some way, maybe limiting us from seeing the full truth. So it just helps us to get straight to the point. So what is it this month? What is the challenge and gift? And they're connected, because whatever the challenge is, each time we're faced with that challenge, we're receiving another opportunity to transmute it into a gift. Without the challenge, there's no chariot. Without the challenge, there's nothing to transcend. So what is the current challenge and gift of this monthly cycle that we've just stepped into. And what's it all for? Okay, let's do these two for now. Okay, the current challenge and gift. We have a 10. 10 of Wands. This card is known as the Lord of Oppression. 9s are endings, but 10s are endings and new beginnings. Think of the number 10. It's a 1 with a 0. So it's like 1 through 10, begin again. Okay, so it's a 10 of Wands. Wands is fire. It's the suit of spirit. What does that look like then, knowing that those wands represent spirit? It's a heavy burden that we're carrying, spiritually speaking. And of course, as in one dimension, so in all. So how is this heavy burden on our spiritual path limiting us physically, emotionally, mentally? And how can we see that setting this burden down will free up our energy? Just as heavy as it is, will be as light as we feel once we set it down. So the current challenge in regards to this card would look like letting go, surrender, lightening the load so that we can fly, right? If we're so weighted down, then how can we use our wings that we've been working so hard to develop? So setting it down. And something that comes to mind very clearly, and please feel free to share in the comments if this resonates with you, or feel free to reach out privately to me if that's too vulnerable for you, but know this is a safe community. What comes to mind very clearly is that we have an opportunity right now to set this burden down in a way that's much easier than ever before. It's almost like we've come to this place where we've collectively formed this new neural pathway within the universal mind, which is acting as a bridge for us to right now, with more grace, with more ease than ever before, just choose to set it down. It's like, oh wow, there's nothing to figure out, really. There's nothing to learn, and we don't have to probe deeper into why I'm carrying this problem, this issue. Why can't I heal it? Why has it been with me for so long? It's like we're having the opportunity right now to just look at the thing that's been such a burden for so long and say, oh, all I have to do is just set it down. I can't even justify carrying this anymore. So instead of using my power, my presence, my thoughts, my energy to keep asking why do I have this? Why can't I let it go? We just see like, oh, for whatever reason, for all the reasons, right? We've come to this point where it just is that way. We could just set it down. There's nothing holding us back anymore. All it takes is this ability to be present, to realize that, oh yeah, there is nothing making me hold on to this pain anymore but my own questioning. My questioning and my victimization has been keeping me attached to it. But there's no excuse anymore. I can just set it down. I'm the only one in the way. So this being in the position of the challenge and gift this month is telling me that this is coming through everything. This opportunity to heal this, burden, to put it down and lighten our load is coming through everything, especially through relationships, because relationships are the way in which we learn and grow the most, because everything is one self. Therefore, everything is relationship with this self. So how can we look at our relationships, both our intimate ones and our less intimate ones, even, passersby, strangers? How can we look at every interaction and see in it this underlying opportunity to set the burden down and lighten our load. When we see it this way, everything, not just our relationships, but every interaction with even our environment, which essentially is also a relationship because the environment is a reflection of self, like I said. So how can we see every interaction with each other and with our environment, everything we think, everything we say, everything we do, how can we use this material experience as a ritual to say, challenge accepted? And I'm beginning now. Everything that I think, everything that I say, everything that I do, I'm going to keep this at the forefront of my mind and say, it's all a ritual for me to practice being the new me, the me who's ready to use those wings, who's ready to fly, the me who is much lighter now because I have put down the burden. Some of you might be asking, well, how do I do it? I don't understand. How do I just put the burden down? You set it down little by little energetically as you shift your response in your relationships and in your environment. Looking at what you usually do or what you've always done and saying, how can I do this differently? How can I respond differently in a way that's going to help me perform this? It's in the response. Every time you call in your awareness and you respond to your relationships differently, you think something different, you say something different, you do something different. You're reconfiguring your frequency to match that lighter you, the you that's not holding on to that burden anymore. But we have to be consistent in this ritual. We have to remember in all that we think, say, and do, and with everyone that we interact with everything we interact with, that it's all a ritual for us to accept and ace this challenge. For example, in your relationships, perhaps there's been more tension than there really needs to be. And the issue that originally caused that tension is not even there anymore, but we haven't paused enough to really acknowledge that change, that shift, to honor that shift, to respond from a place of having shifted ourselves due to that shift. And that's okay that we haven't done that yet, because now is the perfect time, and that's why we're receiving this message right now, because before it wouldn't have had as much of a profound effect as it does now that we're being told to do this by our allies, who are not outside of ourselves, who are not separate from ourselves. They're the angels that exist right here inside. So they're just saying it's time to acknowledge that there's not as much of a burden as we thought. There's not as much of a problem here, really. Perhaps there's some residue in our mind from past pain, past hurt, and we're allowing that to have more weight than it really should. We're allowing that to really still affect our relationships, our lives in huge ways. We feel like it's such a heavy burden, but all we need to do is remember that it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. So chill out. And the only way to, like I said, shift from this heaviness to this lightness is by really keeping this message at the forefront of your mind and weaving that awareness into all that you think, say, and do. This is the only way we can do this, by recognizing how we're bringing that heaviness that is illusory into everything that we do. Lighten up, lighten up, lighten up, lighten up in our relationships. We have to lighten up in our jobs, in our career. We have to see that what we're thinking maybe isn't so bad. Maybe we've been doing more work than we thought. Maybe our mental state is a lot better than we thought. Maybe we should give ourselves more credit. Maybe we have reached a new level of emotional mastery and we haven't been giving ourselves enough credit. And by giving ourselves enough credit, I don't just mean saying, oh, like, good job. I mean, really staying present and observing yourself through all that you do and seeing how, wow, I have really shifted my response. And how much more can I even shift it? Active acknowledgement looks like noticing that you have come this far and continuing with that work. If we don't really stop to see how far we've come, we cannot progress from there. And then the effect is limited. The effect of all of the hard work that we've done is limited. But we can magnify the power of the gifts that have come from all the work we've done by really acknowledging that we've been doing it and keeping it up. So how are we maybe still carrying the heaviness of an old burden into our experience? And how can we see this as an exciting challenge? It's like a game. Where can I recognize how I've been doing this? Not like, oh shit, what have I been doing? You see the difference? Like, do you think that's really helpful to sit there and say, man, I've really messed up. I've really messed up. I haven't been giving myself enough credit. I have been carrying this heaviness into all my relationships. Damn, I really messed things up. Is that really going to get me anywhere? No. In fact, this is so perfectly aligned with the Torah story of this week that we read on Shabbat on Friday night. And it was all about Tisha B'Av, the holiday that's coming at the end of this month, which reminds us of the fallen temple. It's a holiday where we mourn the falling of the temple, the destruction of the holy temple. But the hidden key to that story is seeing the rebuilding in the destruction, seeing the creation in the destruction. The metaphysical understanding behind the story of this week, as told by the magical technology of the Torah, is look at where we're destroying the tower. Not the old tower, not just the old temple. How are we destroying the current temple, this temple, the temple of our body? How are we currently destroying that temple? The holy temple of who we are, the temple that lives inside our heart. How have we been destroying that? First acknowledging that, and then saying, okay, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to rebuild that temple? How am I going to recognize the ways in which I haven't been building a very stable foundation for this temple? Not beating myself up over it, but looking at it for awareness and saying, okay, time to rebuild. You're either destroying or you're building that temple. You can't be doing both at the same time. This is not a sustainable method. So what do you choose? To keep destroying the tower through shame and guilt? Is that really going to help you in any sort of a way? Or are you going to see the ways in which you maybe haven't been putting your best efforts forth and start doing that now? That's all. So we just need to ask ourselves, how can I lighten this load? How can I lighten up my life? How can I lighten up my relationships? Again, it's exciting. The challenge should be exciting. The challenge shouldn't feel like a burden. The challenge should feel exciting. It's not so much about the bad aspects or the negative aspects of, like, how much destruction has happened, so much as it's about the neutralizing effect. All of the negative results that have come of our destructive thoughts, words, and behaviors, all of those effects are only temporary anyway. This whole reality is temporary. Dust in the wind, right? The only thing that's sustainable, the only thing that goes with us beyond the grave is that light that we've cultivated. So in this way, we can really see how pointing out the ways in which we've been destructive, it's great, it's awesome, it should be uplifting. We shouldn't be beating ourselves up over it. We should be so grateful that we're able to identify those spots of weakness so that we can correct them. It's a relief to know that even if you were to continue in these destructive ways, eventually it would all have to come to the light. Think of it in the most realistic way. Eventually you're going to die, and of course those destructive behaviors will be put to a stop. Anything that's born of your destructive behaviors is temporary. So it's like your higher self, great spirit, God, whatever you want to call that, is like, I don't care. Mess up as long as you want. Mess up as long as you want, because it's inevitable that you return to the light. So as soon as you're ready to get over your self-pity and your victimization, I'll be here, waiting to guide you, to help you change your ways, to start building and not destroying. So it's exciting. Look for the ways that you've been bringing that heaviness into your life, because they are the things that will guide you to where you need to create that alchemy, where you need to perform that alchemy, where you need to weave your light. Those spots of weakness are awesome because they help you to clear out all the confusion, all the other directions. And they say, here, this is where you need to focus. This is what needs fixing. So instead of looking at it like it's a problem, we should be so grateful for that. Because when we find our weaknesses, we find the exact spots that we need to focus on, that we need to bring more balance to. So don't be afraid to face those mistakes. In hindsight, they become catalysts for our healing. Look for where you haven't been your best self and be excited about discovering those parts so that you can do the work that's going to help you progress and ascend to the next level. You want that ascension, you want that growth, you want that expansion. And you have to be willing to look at your weakness. We have to be willing to look at our weaknesses collectively as well. All right, so what's this all for? We're moving on to the next card here. What is this for, this challenge and gift this month? The Lord of Oppression, the Ten of Wands. Why are we doing it? What's at the foundation of this work? Seven of Pentacles. Okay, to me this is immediately clear. You see an image of this man looking at the hard work he's been doing, but there are no fruits yet. And he can respond one of two ways. He could be looking at everything and saying, oh, man, all this hard work for what? For nothing. Where's the harvest? Okay, where are the fruits of my labor? And he becomes frustrated, he begins to doubt himself, and he sabotages his entire plan. Or he looks at all the work he's done so far, and he remembers to see through the eyes of the Fool, right? Because anytime you're looking at any card in the deck, you want to be seeing it through the eyes of the very first card, the Fool, the 0 point, the access point. The Fool always remembers that everything is in divine order. He remembers universal law. He knows that if he puts the work in, he will reap the rewards. This is just how it goes. So bringing that back to this card, he would see through the lens of the Fool and he would say, okay, cool. It's not quite here yet, but I've been doing all that I can. Am I doing my best? Yes, I've been doing my best. Have I been, sticking to the plan? Yeah, I've been sticking to the plan. Well, if you honestly know that, then you've got to trust that the harvest is going to come. The fruits are going to come. Especially right when you feel that frustration, that doubt, like, it's all for nothing. Why am I even doing this? Is the gift ever going to come? Am I ever going to be on that other side? Right when you feel that is when the gift is about to come. It's right on the other side. Right when you want to give up, it's right there. This also aligns with kind of where we're at in the Torah as well. This aligns as well. We just recently read about how the Hebrew people were about to enter the land of Israel, and so they sent a couple of spies in to see what they were to expect. And it's really all a story about perception. So the people that they chose, these spies, to see what was going on, they didn't have that higher awareness to be able to perceive the reality correctly, so they judged it from where they were at. And they came back and they said, oh, there's these giants, and then they'll kill us, and it's this terrible place, it's a scary place, we could never survive there. But little did they know that these giants were representing their potential, that if they were to enter those gates, they would become like giants. But they misperceived because they weren't ready to enter those gates. They weren't ready to enter that space of higher consciousness, higher awareness. And so they doubted. And so the Jews, the Israelites, were cast out to the desert for another 40 years. They were like, yes, we're ready, we're parched, we're dying, we're ready to enter these gates. And God, Hashem, said, no, turn around. You're done. You're not ready for this place. So are we going to be like that, like those spies, and allow our doubts and our negativity to completely sabotage our plan that we've been working so hard for? Or are we going to say, no, of course, in the moment where it's hardest to trust the plan, I have to? Do you think your highest self said, yeah, give it to me easy, make it easy? No, that's not why we came here. That's not how we learn. The alchemy happens when it's the most difficult, when we're ready to give up, when we just so easily want to give into the vice over the virtue. It's easy to give into the vice over the virtue because that vice is so appealing to the senses. It's so attractive to us. But the beauty of virtue is so subtle. Profound, but so subtle. So it's easier to give in to that loud voice of vice. So as soon as we're faced with any vice, to be dishonest or to be impatient, to be angry, we could be so quick to do that because it's within our collective awareness. It's this wound that we share. And we're so familiar with that wound, it makes it easy to choose it. But you see, it's a game that our highest self set up. Like, here, yeah, do this bad thing. But we're testing ourselves to see, am I still going to give in? Am I really going to give in that easily? Or am I going to remember in my hardest moments the goal, the plan, why I'm really here? So when you feel like you just want to give into frustration, you just want to give into doubt, you want to give up because it's easy. It's the easy way out. Remember, it's really not. It's tricking you. In that moment, you might feel like it's the easy way out. It's the easy thing to do because it's comfortable, because we're familiar with it. This is like Stockholm syndrome. You get so used to the abusive behavior. You get so used to that space of pain that it becomes comfortable to you. It becomes your home. No. No more. No more. So just as easily as we can give into that frustration and that doubt and think it's the easy way out, we need to remember this moment is what I've been working so hard for. I'm not going to give in. No. I know it seems like the easy way out, but it's not. It's a trick. And if I recognize this moment, this crossroads, where I could either choose this path and go into that frustration, or I could choose this path and go deeper into the trust. If I recognize this crossroads, I can remember to take the higher path. And then right when you sink into that trust, you access that deeper layer of trust that your soul has been craving. The universe blesses you with a gift. Right when you were ready to give up, thinking that the harvest would never come, the universe is like, oh, let's see. Is she going to trust? Is he going to trust? Or is he going to choose that lower road? It's almost like they're like, your higher self is like eating popcorn watching you do this, right? Like, oh, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? And then you choose the lower path and they're like, here we go again. And they're not mad, but it's like, okay, fine. How many, let's go through another round of that lesson. Or you choose that higher road and you choose to not be fooled, to not be deceived. And you're like, as much as I want to doubt right now, I'm going to trust in the plan. Because I'm being honest with myself when I say that I've been doing my best. And if I really have been doing my best, God will do the rest. If I really have been giving it my all, then the gift has got to come. And then your higher self is like, woo! And then you trust, and then you're blessed with that gift. And then all of a sudden you're like surprised with a miracle. All of a sudden the flowers bloom, the fruits grow, and you're ready to harvest the fruits of your labor. But it's right there, right when you're ready to give up. That's the irony. Another aspect of this is you might be at that crossroads ready to either give up or keep going. And you ask yourself, have I been doing my best? Because if I have been doing my best, then the law says, universal law says that I will reap the rewards of that hard work. But then a part of you says, I haven't been doing my best. To be real with myself, and you can't be any other way because you can't lie to yourself. It's all inside, right? And you say, to be real with myself, I haven't been doing my best. And in that moment, something shifts. You become vulnerable. You become transparent with your own observer self, with that aspect of yourself that is true, your highest self. And you say, no, you know what? I have to take accountability. I'm looking at my situation here. I don't see the gifts. I feel frustrated, but I know that it's because I haven't been putting forth my best effort. So now I'm going to commit to doing that. And I'm going to trust that when I do that, I can expect to see the results because this is law. This is the way the universe works. So honesty is required. Honesty with yourself. That inner dialogue, being honest with, the different aspects of yourself when they have that inner dialogue, that inner conversation. Because you can give up and you can say, oh, screw this, it's not working out, I'm just going to give up. But did you really ask yourself if you've been trying your best? Because by law, universal law, if you really are doing your best, God will do the rest. But you have to be real with yourself. That's a big part of this. So how do I see these cards connected if this is the foundation for this current challenge and gift? I see it saying to us that the foundation of what we're going through right now is helping to get us to a point of honesty with ourselves, real honesty. Also getting us to the point where we are truly putting our best foot forward. Honesty, effort, hard work. These are huge keys on the path to becoming the adept. On the spiritual path, it requires that work. And I'm not just talking about physical labor. I'm saying whatever work in any dimension, there's going to be work. Both inner and outer. There's going to be work on this path. That's a big key aspect here. There's going to be work. And we have to be honest with ourselves in what kind of an effort we're putting in. Because of course we're not going to see the results if we're not trying our best. You guys know one of the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, amazing book. Always do your best. This is one of those 4 agreements he talks about. Super simple system to follow. Just 4 agreements. Always do your best is one of them. So if we're not doing our best, why the hell do we expect the gift? That's like when your child cleans his room and he's like, do I get a prize now? And you're like, no, you don't get a gift for doing the thing that you need to do for you. No, like, you do the work and really ask yourself, if I do this work, what will the natural result be? What will the effect be? Cause and effect, right? The law of karma. The amount of work you put in determines the result, determines what you're going to get from that work. And it's not always going to be a trophy or a cookie. But you have to be real with yourself. If I do X amount of work, then I will get this as the gift. If I do this, then this will happen. It's about being honest with that karmic process, taking accountability for our individual karmic process, as well as collectively taking accountability for our collective karma. That's the big theme of this month. That's what this first quarter reading is telling us. We're really learning about this whole law of cause and effect and how we must take accountability, how we must be honest with the amount of work we're putting in. Because otherwise, how can we turn around and act like we're all frustrated when we haven't even really been trying? The law doesn't lie. Natural law, universal law will reflect this to you again and again, the law of cause and effect. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make, right? Thank you, Beatles, right? But it's true. What you give is what you get. And that's the main underlying theme of this month. And so this being the challenge connected to that is saying, look, what are you holding on to? Why the heaviness? Until you set that burden down that is no longer relative to our experience, you will not have your fullest power and your fullest presence to dedicate yourself to taking accountability in your individual and our collective karmic process. If you're so busy worrying about your little BS, your little bullshit you're holding on to, your pains, your traumas that are not helping anyone. You're so busy holding on to your personal story that all of your energy is being held up, it's being tied up, and you cannot be here as the light worker that you want to be in this circle of light, in this family of light, doing the work together to really grow, progress, heal. If you're so busy focused on your little crap that you want to carry around for no reason, how can you be a part of this team of light right now that's doing this work? I need you. We need you. You need you. to set it down. And that's a great way to look at it when you ask yourself, is it really worth holding on to this thing anymore? Because I have a bigger purpose in the divine plans unfolding. I'm here to bring heaven to earth. Hello. So should I really be carrying around the pain of that one guy who never called me back 12 years ago? Should I really be carrying around the guilt because of, somebody that got hurt in the past because of something I said or did? Like, did you do your best around rectifying that? Did you do your best to rectify that, to make it right, to repent? If you didn't, then do it now. Do whatever you have to do to clear that energy, so that you can be the empowered you that we need you to be right now. Do whatever you need to do to make it right. And if there's nothing more to be done, let it go. For us, for the one, let it go. If you couldn't find a reason to let it go before, maybe because you were subconsciously punishing yourself over guilt, shame, something from the past, well, then I'm giving you a new reason now. I'm telling you that it's not just for you, okay? It's not just for little you. It's for the big you, of which I am a part, of which we all are a part. We need you to finally make that pain okay. We need you to forgive yourself. I forgive you. We forgive you. Can you forgive you? Because we really need you to. Get over yourself, please. We need you. Your highest self is already over it. It's okay. It's time to let it go. Set the burden down. We need you. You have a bigger purpose. Please. So if you couldn't do it before, I think you have a big enough reason now. We are here on a mission collectively to take accountability for our karma, individually and as a hive, as a collective mind. We cannot move ahead in the biggest, best way possible without you. For every person that does this, it magnifies our potential exponentially, infinitely. So can you join us in that? Or is the pain that you're carrying really worth it? Is that little thing you've been carrying that really no one else is thinking about but you? It's not affecting anyone but your own self, which is then, as a result, beginning to affect everyone from inside of you outwardly, right? It's rippling out. No one's thinking about that pain you're carrying but you. And then through that awareness of it, carrying around that pain, then you're affecting everybody else through that space. You're limiting the connections that you have with other people, with your relationships. You're limiting your overall experience in life because you're choosing to carry around that pain. But is it worth it? Or are you ready to finally set it down for a bigger cause? So remember, it's not really worth it. It's not doing anything for anyone. And the pain you're carrying around no longer has a purpose. And don't be upset that it was with you for so long either. For as long as our pain is with us, it has a purpose. Everything that exists in any dimension, mentally, emotionally, physically, it has a purpose. If it's existing, it has a purpose. Everything light and dark has its purpose in place. But I'm telling you right now, our allies are telling us right now that now is the time. Just simply upon considering that pain we've been carrying around, we're ready to let it go. All it takes is one more consideration, one more observation of that very same crap you've been carrying around. Try it today after this activation. See how you feel. See how different it is. You cannot justify that pain anymore. This is a little gift from the archetypes telling us, try it one more time, ask yourself. What are you gonna tell yourself today? Now that you know the real reason we're here, you cannot justify carrying around that pain anymore. And I see there's a lot of comments going on here, and something caught my eye, and I think it's important to just remember, first of all, that the biggest issue right now is divisiveness and everybody telling each other that they're wrong. Somebody mentioned something about the tooth fairy, and it has me thinking, Why do you think children are so connected? Why do you think children are so in tune? Because they haven't forgotten the simplicity of magic. Just because you know how something's done doesn't mean it's not magic. In fact, it's more magical when we can create that understanding, when we can bring logic into marriage with our intuition. Boom! Wow. Wow. That's when the magic really happens. So why do these like tooth fairy concepts, you know, these magical new agey concepts, why do a lot of them actually work? Because this is the nature of consciousness. This is the nature of the mind. The first principle of Hermetics is the principle of mentality. Everything is mind. So while someone is sitting over here telling somebody else not to believe in this or that and that it's all fluff, they're the ones missing out, because they're not understanding the complex metaphysical concepts behind these seemingly simplistic visions and strategies. So for people who don't believe in magic, well, then you're never going to find it. Whatever, you're not understanding. Do you know that meme that went viral and it was like, she's simple like metaphysics or like quantum physics? Quantum physics. Quantum physics is so complex yet so simple, because it all is involving the nature of the imagination, the nature of the mind. What you believe, you will receive. This is not some fairy tale bullshit. This is law. This is timeless truth that has been spoken about again and again and again since the beginning of time, since time immemorial. And for you who are coming on here just to put all these people down, shame on you. These messages reach thousands of people across the world, people who have lost loved ones recently, people who are depressed, want to kill themselves. I work with these people every day, every day, every day. And you're sitting over here crapping on all these people watching this beautiful message, and they're over here trying to be their best selves. They're over here trying to heal from their feelings of wanting to die, wanting to leave this life, not wanting to live because they lost their loved one. And in some way, this is inspiring them, and this is bringing them healing. This is helping them to revive their purpose and find meaning in their lives. And there are people that come on here, and you think one comment like, y'all are just in your magical minds, you think that's really going to stop these people from the path they're on? We're not going to let it. The community here is so strong, so beautiful, so powerful. We bring so much light here that one person, you think you're really going to get us down? Hell no. Hell no. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. So just know that. You see all those hearts? You see all that love popping up right now? That's because y'all know it's true. And I think it's so good to, acknowledge. There are a lot of people who will say, don't pay attention to the negative comments. Don't pay attention to the naysayers. But there's a purpose for them too. Just like we were saying a moment ago, there's a purpose for everything. If it exists, if it's still existing, it's trying to show us something. And so every now and then it's good to acknowledge those negative Nancys that pop up. Because what are they showing us? To be even stronger, to keep going even stronger, to be stronger for them. Because like we said at the beginning of the video, especially when you want to doubt, especially when you want to give into that negative voice, because by the way, those negative people still run with us, still in some aspect of ourselves that's reflecting back to us something that we need to see for whatever reason, and the reason is ours to create. So when I see those negative people, I see it as a sign for me to be even stronger. For example, going back to that story we said earlier about the Jews and, the Hebrew people entering Israel, and they doubted, and so they were cast away. They couldn't enter the gates. Am I really going to let that one person be my reason for not entering the gates? For not entering into the Holy Land or the holy space, that place within my own heart? Am I really going to let that one person saying, yeah, don't believe in magic, am I really going to let that one person ruin all my years of effort? Nah, I'm going to think of my ancestors walking through that desert, starving, dying, abused, repressed, and still pushing. I don't even have to think that far back to my ancestors of that time. I can just think of my own grandfather who's still alive. God bless him. I can think of him and how he had to leave Greece during the time of the Holocaust. He had to change his name and he had to hide. He had to change his identity. He had to hide so he wouldn't be killed. His family was killed. Thank God my son gets to know his great-grandparents. Did I get to know mine? No, they were killed in concentration camps. So I could just think of my grandpa and be so inspired. And you think I'm going to let your little voice saying, don't believe in magic, keep me from fighting, from pushing on, from pressing on, from expanding, from continuing the mission that my ancestors put me here to continue? I will never let you get in the way. Not for me, not for anyone. We will not let you get in the way because we are on this mission together, and we know that so strongly. And we know that anytime that darkness comes in, it's there to reinforce our mission, to fortify our mission, to challenge us, to test us, to see if we're really going to stick by our word, if we're really going to put our money where our mouth is. So that's the only reason I say don't just ignore those negative voices. Talk to them like they're aspects of your lower self, challenging you to keep going. I'm not going to allow any of those voices within myself or seemingly outside of myself put a stop to the mission that my ancestors started from the beginning of time. Our one shared ancestor, by the way. Even if I only went back to my grandfather's mission, he fought way too hard for me to give up because of one little negative person on there. So I'm saying this because we're all in this together. There literally is only one here. So when something negative comes at you, how can you see it as perhaps an aspect of yourself, of your own doubt, of your own fear? And how can you look it in the face and say, no, I know why I'm here. And especially when I'm challenged, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to uphold my values and my beliefs stronger than ever before. So thank you. For example, you can choose, a lot of people say, oh, just ignore the naysayers. And you can, and a lot of the times we have to, because there's so many of them out there, you would waste your whole life responding to each one, right? But I ask you to maybe see it as a ritual when that negative thing comes up in your own head or from the voice of another person. How could you use that as a ritual to speak to those lower aspects of yourself that are hidden deep within your subconscious? Boom, this person pops up and says something gross. Perfect chance for me to speak to that lower aspect of myself and bring that healing into the light, bring it out from the depths of my subconscious and into the light and do some real physical healing. And maybe me just ignoring that person would look like me kind of brushing that negative voice under the rug within my own mind. How can I see that as an opportunity to speak up for myself and to say, no, you're just me and I know that. And I'm telling you, me, that we can't give up. That's all. I love this community so much. I feel complete with this activation today, and I'm really looking forward to meditating on these two cards. If you want to pull up the images and you don't have the cards yourself, first of all, you can Google them, okay? 7 of Pentacles. These pentacles are basically the fruits of your realizations, okay? The value of that gold is determined by the work you do to pull those realizations, from the ethereal world into manifestation. 7 of Pentacles. Know that they will be so valuable if we don't give up, if we don't doubt, if we trust in the plan, if we really do our best work, put forth our best effort, the fruits will come. And the other card, 10 of Wands. See how he's carrying this heavy burden. It's Wands, fire, spirit. And see yourself setting it down. See yourself setting it down. Okay, those are the 2 cards. And you don't need a deck of cards to understand these themes. This archetypal wisdom lives inside of each one of us. The only reason they're made into little cards, personified into these little images, is so that our human mind can form some sort of a conceptualization of these otherwise inconceivable energies, frequencies, primordial forces. There would be no way to connect with them, you see. And before these archetypes, this archetypal wisdom was printed on cards, they were inscribed on gold plates, metal plates in ancient Egypt. And it was a guiding technology for the ancient civilization in Egypt. It's based on a pattern that exists within our DNA. Again, it was created so that we can form a neural pathway to be able to connect with these primordial sources that exist within our own consciousness. If we did not personify them and create them in our own image, right? Like we are created in the image of the divine. If we did not do that with these cards, then we would have no conception of these sources. We would have no way to connect. But this tool, the tarot, is an ancient tool to help us form those neural pathways, to provide that connection between us to these ancient sources where you and I are one. So you don't need these cards. When we talk about the wisdom that's involved here, you feel it inside of yourself. You feel it in your bones. By the way, the Hebrew word for bones is etzem, which is the same for essence. Bones and essence are the same word. You feel this in your bones because this wisdom exists inside of you. Wisdom rings true. When you hear truth, you feel it because it's a story that exists within our DNA. It's literally inside of us. We're not just here to be good people. Like, we're here to be good people for a reason. There's a reason, there's a science to these laws, to these commandments, to this wisdom that we're meant to uphold, these virtues. There's a science to it. So if you want to know more about how these characters exist inside of you, you want to learn more about these angels or angles of awareness within the universal mind, you might want to check this out. This is my book. It's called The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. If you go on Amazon and you just type in The Royal Path Activating, the book will pop up. If you want to order it directly from me, I could write you a cute little note inside, sign it for you, and I can ship it directly to you. Okay, this book I wrote to help you who is a tarot professional, or you who's never studied tarot before, connect to the truthful story of these characters as they exist inside of your own mind and inside of your own heart. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an expert, if you've never done divination or you love divination. It's not about divination. It's about more the psychology of the tarot, which tarot in ancient Egypt meant the royal path, the one path. So it's a story about not only the spiritual, but also the psychological progression that can be obtained if you dedicate your awareness to this process. It's a cyclical story that's never ending, and we're speaking it and we're living it with or without our conscious awareness upon it. So do you want to continue embodying these archetypes, which are the foundation of all of creation? Do you want to continue to embody them without awareness, just chaotically embodying them in no particular order? Or do you want to begin to develop a relationship with each of these characters as they exist inside of you, so that you can form a conscious connection with each of them, so that inside of you, these characters form a conscious council. They become your archetypal alliance. Doesn't that sound so much more appealing than just chaotically and unaware walking around embodying these frequencies, not knowing what the hell you're doing? We all feel that way. I want more clarity. I want to be able to have that clarity of direction. I want my purpose to be lit up. I don't want to ever forget my purpose. I don't want to ever feel like I don't know which direction to go in. If that's you, which really that's all of us, especially in today's crazy world, then you may just want to learn a little bit about these characters, how you can work with them, how they can guide you each step of the way, and how you can help them too by opening up to their higher frequencies and allowing them to work their magic through you into this world. So if that interests you, let me know. And I would be happy to send you one straight from my hands and straight from my heart, because that's where it came from. I'll also say that every Wednesday, so that's tomorrow, 11 a.m. Arizona time, we do a live Zoom class on the occult symbolism within the tarot. So tomorrow we're up to card 9, which you guys might know as the Hermit, but in ancient times was known as the Sage. That will be tomorrow's class. Every class is recorded and stored in a private archive. So if you want to start from the beginning, you want to take these tarot classes, please reach out to me, private message me, and I'll send them to you. These classes are donation-based. Each of them is about an hour or so long, sometimes longer. They're packed with so much cool information. The feedback I'm getting on these classes is excellent. I'm learning so much because each class I do, I try to learn more and more so that it's not boring for me, right? Because I'm here to grow. That's why I'm doing this too. So we're all learning so much. There's so much esoteric information, things that you won't find in modern books on the tarot. So if that interests you, go ahead and private message me. I am available for one-on-one readings, of course, as always. Also, one more thing, if you guys aren't a part of my private Facebook group, it's called The Royal Path. You will have to join. It's a private group. And there, it's not going to be your typical group where you see, you know, just astrology posts of the day, horoscopes, or uplifting memes. No, it's much more than that. There, we are very particular about what we share. It's all based on archetypal awareness, archetypal communication, archetypal astrology and numerology, the deeper aspects of the tarot. So you won't find things in there that aren't for the hive mind. No personal sharing. We're straight to the goods. No BS. We want to only post the things in there that are going to be helpful for the collective, for the hive mind. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and find the private group, The Royal Path. There are some cool little altar items that I've been hand making for your magical ritual practices. So if you join the group, you'll see more of what I'm talking about there. And a beautiful butterfly just landed right above our heads. I'll take that as a sign that we're done transforming for now, and we're ready to end this activation to begin the internal integration of all that we've just received. I look forward to hearing how this reading resonated with you. If you feel that someone could benefit from the message of this video or from the many messages that were in this activation, please share this. Share it on your wall. Share it in your favorite groups. Share it with your friends and family, people who you think could just use an uplifting message, or people who you think are already so aligned with this vibration that they'll only help to magnify it for the one, for the collective. Let's see how many amazing activated people we can get this message to, so that we can really integrate it into our physical reality, so that we can bring more magic into our world. Happy first quarter moon, you guys. I will see you next week for the full moon activation. Peace. Shalom.